James J.C. Cooley, and we got another absolutely wonderful show coming your way today. We're going to talk about a lot of things, events, so world events, and other things. So I tell you what, I want to get the radio portion locked up with the television and live streaming platforms. So, Chris, let's do it.
It's Your Life is sponsored by James J.C. Cooley.
Life is a series of circles and cycles, phases and stages. These are your experiences that teach you the lessons of life. You can either ignore them or embrace them. Welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. James is a motivational speaker, author, military veteran, and founder of the James Cooley Foundation. James is here to equip you to strive for greatness and to overcome adversity. It's time to get equipped today for the challenges of tomorrow. Now here's the host of It's Your Life, James Cooley.
Hello, welcome to the James Cooley Show. It's Your Life. I'm your host, Dr. James J.C. Cooley. And of course, I've got my executive producer and my co-host, Dr. Michelle Cooley. And of course, we're coming to you also from San Diego, on FM 96.1 and AM 1170 with my main man, Chris. How you doing today, Chris? Okay. Chris,
I think he hears us.
It seemed to be a delay there. But Michelle, I'm excited about the show today. I mean, yesterday's show was absolutely wonderful. I thought that we would do something similar to what we did yesterday today.
Yes.
What are your thoughts?
I think today's show is kind of, I would say, more of an awareness show about what's really going on, but what we know what's going on in the world, global events. Our thoughts about it. Everyone's opinion is different and perspective is different, but I do believe it is nice and it's good to stay abreast on what is going on in the world. What are your thoughts?
I think that we all have to be cognizant of things that are going on in the world because it affects the whole world. I'm talking about especially things that are happening right now that we're going to talk about over in the Middle East and Ukraine and all that good stuff. It affects the whole globe, all countries, one way or another. So I'm excited about having these discussions, and I'm also excited about our audience, whatever platform that they are watching us on. All they had to do is just tune in and be part of this great discussion. Or you can pick up the phone and dial 1-866-577-2473, and my main man Chris will get you on. So Michelle, I want to get started because we got so much to cover today.
Oh my gosh.
Can you please introduce the title of the show, the purpose of the show, and introduce these two great guests?
Oh, yes. Well, the title of today's show is The Coolies, basically staying informed on world events. So we're going to talk about how the importance of staying informed on world issues and global issues, talk about historical events, impact, cultural awareness, humanitarian causes, environmental concerns, global health issues, anything extra we want to talk about. So, of course, me and Dr. James Cooley, we're going to just have that conversation. I'm sure everyone has their opinion. So we welcome the audience's feedback on this discussion. So let's start. I'm going to start with you. So, James, how do you stay informed about world events, and how important is it for you to be aware of what's going on in not only in our country, in the world?
As you know, I'm a news buff. So I'm always watching the news to see what's and I'm talking about different stations. I just don't just stick with CNN or MSNBC. I do Fox News. I do it all to find out the different perspectives of what the media think, and also to find out on national channels, not national but international channels, what's going on in that side of the world as well. So I try to stay abreast because I know that it's so important that we understand not just what's happening in our backyard, United States, but what's happening across the whole globe.
Wow. And I also think it's important. You're right. We don't stick to one station. I like watching BBC News, because they have a different perspective. It's amazing. If you watch other countries' news stations, it's amazing how their perspective is different. The things they talk about, we live in the United States, how they perceive what's going on in other countries, as well as the United States. So I like watching that. You got CNBC, you got MSNBC, you got CNN, you got Fox. It's important to hear all sides of what's going on. Because if you stick to, in my opinion, if you stick to one station that believes everything that you believe, you're not really getting the full experience of other opinions and other perspectives. You have to leave yourself open to say, oh, I didn't know this. Well, you didn't know this because you were so focused on this. You did not allow other opinions to be heard. So that's how we stay, current on global events. And also, we have the internet, but you really have to be careful what you read because not everything on the internet is true. You have to check your sources. You got to see, okay, this is a gossip rag. So this is not a reliable source that I'm going to get my information from. I like reading things on the New York Times, Bloomberg, just so many different things. Any additional thoughts on that, James?
Well, I think all of those are important. Me personally, I first thing I do when I get up, I watch Morning Joe. Because it's not just one sided with them. Of course, it's a little bit more liberal on that side, but they reach out and they try to pull back factual information, and that's what it's all about. So let me ask you a question. In what ways do you think global issues such as climate change or political development affect our everyday lives?
Well, I'm going to hit you with the climate change. I'm going to talk about the political developments. I am going to be the first to admit I am not a subject matter expert on politics. I am not. That's more on James's domain. But what I do listen to is, even if I veer more towards one side, I listen to see all sides. Does it make sense? Because it does affect our daily lives. It affects, our interest rates. It affects, taxes. It affects, it's just about everything in our lives, how we live, the economy. That's definitely important. And also funding and just so many areas. It's not, we can never say that what's going on, whether it's in our country or another person's country, wars, those do have an effect on the United States. It has an effect regarding, who we align ourselves with. It has an effect on trading, import, export. So it does affect us. So what are your thoughts, James, about how it politically affects us and climate change as well?
Well, politically, as we are the biggest power in the world for as economy and for as stability in the United States, and most of the world look up to us as being the leader and following our guidelines on what we think. One bad mistake from us can throw the whole world into a turmoil. And so we have to be very careful about what we are doing. In addition to that, a lot of the countries that are our allies that we are supporting, many people don't understand why we are doing that. They think that we are just giving away money, giving away supplies and all that. There's a reason why we're doing this, because we don't want the fight to come to the United States. I'm talking about on our land, and we have to support certain countries that are our allies, to make sure that they're able to fend off the bad guys, if you will. And because if that's not protected, it's going to spread all over the world, and we will be affected by that as well. So I think that all of those things people need to take in consideration. It's not just a game, but we have to protect what's ours. As it relates to climate change, I can start on this one. We've got about 2 minutes before the break. Climate change, I really don't know what the world is thinking. And they think that nothing is changing, that it's not getting warmer, it's not all these different things that are happening is due to climate change. And a lot of these things, I believe, as relate to climate change, is the products and stuff that we use that is going to affect a global warming, and most places freezing. I mean, it's not always cold, but it's more than just climate change and a lot of things. I'm talking about where we have over in New Zealand, where you have melting. I mean, a whole platform melting. So, I tell you, we're going to take a station break. But we're going to come back. And we're going to be part of this great conversation. All you have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on and just comment, or pick up the phone and dial 1-866-577-2473. Remember, it's your life, and we'll see you shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up.
And once you know who you are, you truly know who you are, love who you are. Love who you are. You're a masterpiece. Love who you are. Love who you were born to be. Love me some me. That's what I'm talking about. When you leave high school, you gotta know today or tomorrow, or hopefully today, what your plans are. Hopefully, there is no bad decision unless there is no plan. Create, collaborate, commit with confidence. Commit with what? Commit with what? In everything that you do.
Courage, valor, experience. The values that make veterans are the values that make veteran businesses America's #1 choice. Veteran business owners throughout the nation are ready to connect. 𝐷𝑆forvets.com. Handshakes, not handouts. 𝐷𝑆forvets connects veterans with business opportunities. Here is a closer look at a featured veteran business. Every business listed is a verified veteran-owned business and can be found in the 𝐷𝑆forvets.com supplier directory. 𝐷𝑆forvets.com. Get on the grid.
I've seen a smile convey I love you. I'm proud of who you are. The one that keeps us close when we're apart. Walking from the darkness of all that we've been through. It seems that there might be a way to leave behind the loneliness we've known and live again life of
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and what we're talking about today is staying informed on world events and other things that affect our lives, everybody's lives in the world, and just having an understanding, like Michelle and I was talking. It help keeps us informed and help keep us updated. But we have to go out look at the news. We have to formulate things that are affecting you. You have to understand what's affecting you and what's not. So I think this is a great topic that we're talking about today, and I would love to get some of your input. All I have to do is just go to the platform that you're watching us on, and just send us asking the question that you might have. I'm gonna turn it back over to you, Michelle.
Thank you, James. Cultural differences. Wow, how relationships are perceived. How might these influence our own views on love and commitment? We've seen documentaries, we've seen the news, we've read things about, how different cultures perceive certain things. United States, we're used to certain ways. Other countries, they do things a little bit different. I think you have more of a upfront knowledge about cultural differences when it comes to commitment or just differences in general, since you were in the United States Navy and you did live overseas. So can you tell us, the audience, how experiencing or just witnessing cultural differences in the countries that you were lived in, how do they influence your own views on love and commitment?
First of all, I believe that you have to have an open mind. Overseas, in most countries, they don't do the same thing and live the same way that we live in the United States. I believe when you are among different countries, their beliefs, you have to be able to adjust to what they're doing. I'm not saying that everything is right and everything is wrong, but just like the old saying, when you're in Rome, live like the Romans do, to a certain extent, understanding what's right and what's wrong. And so I had the opportunity and pleasure of probably being in over 50 countries, and not one country that I've been to have the same type of structures, things type of setup. The foods are different, the customs are different. And we have to learn to adjust when we're living overseas, and not just overseas, but in the United States as well, because you got a lot of different cultures, different folks from all over the world that's here. But just getting an understanding of what some of those things are, being respectful about the way that others live, even though it might be different than what you might think. But again, Michelle, you don't have to do anything that affect your values, regardless of where you're at in the world. But just being respectful and understanding. And that's how I was able to get along, understand, educate myself. And a lot of things that they're doing overseas in many countries that I went to, especially Japan, I love that culture. I love the food. I love the people. I love everything about it. And I ended up spending about 7.5 years over there.
Wow. Well, that's another trip we're going to go on down the line. But Dr. Sandra has a question. How long does it take to get used to the other cultures or countries' way of life? That question's for you.
Well, I mean, it all depends on which country you're in. I mean, I can remember living in Australia, English-speaking country. Just a couple of different things that they do over there. Their terminologies are different, but it all depends on how, I'm going to say this, how civilized a country is and how stable the country is. Or as how long it takes, it doesn't really take, I don't believe, a whole lot of times, unless you're trying to speak all the different languages until I become very familiar with it. That might take a little time. all the foods and all the other stuff that you come across. It's pretty much easy to adjust to what you like and what you don't like. Uh, one thing I will say, Dr. Sandra, is that in certain countries where you go, you have to ask what you're eating
Mhm.
before you get it. Trust me, I have seen that happen over in Asia many times where people did not know exactly what they was eating and like, oh, that tastes good. And they figure out what that is. That takes some getting used to. But far as the culture of the country, it depends on the country and it depends on the individual.
And you're right. We do have to respect other people's way of life. You may not agree with, let's say, whether they're eating or even, let's say, the dynamics in a marriage. There's so many countries, there's so many ways that the husband and wife interact, or the expectation of what the wife is supposed to do or not do. So, us being from the United States, we may look at it as, wow, oh, I wouldn't do that. But unless you were raised and grew up in that specific country, you can never say that. They're probably looking at us thinking that, okay, that's a little different. So I guess what I'm saying is respect the cultures and the values of other countries, because you would want them to respect ours as well.
Wow. And not just the United States, but even certain states that we're living in the United States.
Oh, yeah.
They do things differently. And we just have to get used to that. But the key to it, Michelle, is respect. And just because this might not be your taste, doesn't necessarily mean it's wrong for them. It's just a difference of opinions and difference of certain things. But as long as we are respectful, we can get along with anything. Got a question for you.
Sure.
You talked about politics a few minutes ago, a little bit, but you didn't go off into it. Not to go deep into politics, but what are some of your views? What are some of your perceptions? What's happening in the world today? And how would we go about being fair, having an open mind, and try to bring all of these things in, even if there is differences of how we feel?
Okay, so this is my opinion. I believe that the political environment today within the United States is very unstable. And I say that because I'm thinking back about the riots that happened on January 6th, and you can have your preference on which political party that you support. There's nothing wrong with that. We were created to have differences. Nothing wrong with that. But when it turns into violence, when it turns into, I would say, disrespect and putting somebody on a pedestal and making them some sort of like God or something like that, I don't get that. I can like a candidate, I can like what they stand for, but you still have to have an open mind and say, wow, okay, I don't like what they're doing, or I don't like this, because nobody is perfect. I believe that it's turned into a power struggle. It's about power. It's not even about the United States citizens. It's not about us, the United States, anymore. It's about which party can have more power over the other. And it's just, to me, it's just a real turnoff. That's just my thoughts.
I believe that it's a turnoff because we got so many partisan opinion, and it's not about the people anymore. You mentioned about power. That's what is looking at right now is in the United States. This is just my opinion. This is what I believe. This is what I think. This is what I feel. And I think both parties are at fault. I believe that especially in power, government, Congress, it is so it done lost focus on that they are supposed to be leading and guiding the whole United States of America, all of the people in the United States of America, not just whether you are a Republican or whether you're a Democrat. It's we have to take in consideration all people, the whole United States of America, regardless of their religion, belief, regardless of their political stance, regardless of all of these things. I think we need to take all these things in consideration.
And I just want to add what's been going on, and we can continue more after the break. I know the break's coming up, but what's going on, with the war, Israel, Hamas, guess we're taking a break.
I'll take a station break. As you see, if you want to be part of the conversation, I'll get you a join in. We'll make sure that you become part of this, and we'll get your answer. If you want to call in, 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. We'll be back shortly after the break.
There's more stories of greatness to help you overcome adversity coming up on It's Your
version of his book, Country Boy, City Boy.
Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Show. It's your life, and just sitting here with my gorgeous and lovely co-host and executive producer, and we're talking about staying informed on current events and how that affect our lives. So, Michelle, I'm going to turn it back over to you. You were getting ready to ask something prior to the station break, and I want to give you your turn.
Yes, we were talking about, political things, how they affect us, our thoughts. And I'll give you a perfect example, the Hamas-Israel war, about how it's affected us within our country, just how different groups are being targeted just because where their origin is or who they support. This is so wrong. And it's I guess the only word I can say, United States is better than this, to racially motivated attack other groups, other people from other countries because you're against you're on this side or this side. It is just wrong. And really, that's all I really wanted to say about that. I don't know if you have any comments on that, James.
Well, I mean, I look at it like this. What's going on over in the Middle East, Palestine, and Israel? This has been going on a long time. And as you know, it's over a piece of strip of land. And it has divided. I'm talking about either you support this side, which is Israel, or you support the other side. That is so wrong because there's a hatred line that's been drawn, I believe, that if you're not of this descent, you're the enemy.
Mm-hmm.
And if you're not from this descent, a Muslim descent, it's enemy. I believe that we all have to learn to get along, and our support, and we have to walk. I think the United States has to be very careful about how they are handling this, because that's a World War III in the making, and you don't want to get caught up in the war in the Middle East the way that it is, because that will bring other countries in and other societies in, and it's going to be a bloodbath. But that's something, Michelle, it's been going on ever since the beginning of time, to be honest with you, especially ever since that maybe 75 years ago, when it was brought up about the Gaza Strip, making that a state.
Mm-hmm.
And everything that goes with that, or a portion of the other one. I'm not well abreast with that,
Mm-hmm.
but I do know that that's going to affect everything that we do in the United States and also the Middle East, because we have to have peace. If this get carried away, if you had the wrong leaders, if you had a wrong leader in the White House, if you had the wrong leaders in government, you have wrong leaders in governments or heads of states, that do not care about life, the existence of life, and they don't care who is drawn into this, and we all are going to come out losers. I mean, loved ones. I mean, I can imagine, all the different families that was, kidnapped and that's being held over there, and they didn't do anything wrong, but just be who they are, their color, their religions. That
Mm-hmm.
is so wrong for somebody to just look at you and automatically say you're evil just because, case in point, you're black. You you're, you're not worth anything because you're black. You're not worth anything because you're this. You're not worth anything because that. You're a Jew. That means that all that other type of stuff. That is wrong.
Oh, yes.
Everybody, just because you were born in a situation or circumstances that you have no control, that doesn't mean you're a bad person. And it's just pure evil, I believe, for what's going on over there in the Gaza Strip and the wars that was, because it's pulling everybody else in as well.
Yes.
The countries that are around that, Michelle,
Mm-hmm.
they got to be scared. to my
Oh,
other
yeah.
countries, I'm talking about Egypt and all of that. They have to be nervous because in this spillover, that means they're going to get pulled into all these things as well. And
Yes.
so the thing is how do you provide peace? How do you come to a solution? How do you get the right people at the table? How do you convince
Mhm.
these countries and their leaders just because you didn't agree on something a while back doesn't
Mhm.
necessarily mean that you continue to teach the generations and generations to come after you hate. That's something I believe that's tough because that's what it's been passed down to generation.
Yes. Well, I don't think it's a long process to find the answer to this particular issue, but we got a lot of issues out there globally, especially humanitarian causes that we may feel passionate about. You know, a humanitarian cause that I'm really passionate about is just areas, outside our country where young women are getting abused, sexually abused, and being forced to marry a much older male against their will, or that there's so many backstories behind that. The parents, from the things I've read and seen, the parents of these young girls, for whatever reason, it could be monetary, it could be afraid for their life. They're giving their daughters to these older men to be their wives, but these young girls, 12, 11, 12, 13. I mean, that is just that's traumatic for the young women, and for them to be abused and treated like some sort of slave. That's a humanitarian cause that I would, I'm passionate about stopping that. Now, the how to do it, I don't know, but that is something I definitely would jump on board regarding a solution, because it's just not right. So, James, I mean, there's so many out there, but what humanitarian cause would you be interested in participating in?
Well, I mean, you just brought up one that's very important. Sex trafficking that's happening in the United States and happening overseas in many, many countries. That's something that is kind of hard to get your hands around. You're right. History tells and talk about, especially over it used to be in the European countries. They want to keep most of the bloodline in the family. So they make deals on who their children is going to marry, even if they're like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old. I don't think that's right, but that's not our country. That's not our country. That's not our custom to try to judge what other countries do. Our main concern, I believe, is the United States, that we do the right things on the customs and things that we have already set up in the United States, the laws and the government that should not exist. And, I'm going to have to come back after the break and pick this up, because I think this is so important to talk about this week. And again, wherever you're watching this at, you want to be part of the show, be part of this conversation, all you have to do is go to your comments, ask any question that you might have, or pick up the phone and dial 1-866-577-2473. It's your life. We'll see you shortly after the break. Dr. James J.C. Cooley from the United States of America, and I am here to just say, first of all, I'm so happy and honored to be honored to be in the Coffee Book 2023. Unified Brain Z and the other organizations, thank you so much for giving me an opportunity to be a part of this collection. Hello, welcome back to the James Cooley Social Life. And I tell you, this is a very sensitive topic to be talking about things that are happening in other countries. But I believe it's much needed. And I think that we have to always have open mind. And we have to always be in the mode of solving problems, not creating problems. And I believe that we all only have one voice. It's
Yeah.
our leaders. Our leaders have to understand what our voices are, and they have to carry their voice. I'm talking about the people voice. And we were talking a second ago, Michelle, about partisans, politics, and it's not all about the people anymore. It's about who's in charge.
Yeah.
Whether things are true or not, it's like the truth doesn't matter to many politicians anymore.
Well, the truth doesn't matter to their supporters. They don't care. That's like, wow.
It's a brainwash thing, I believe. And
It's
the
like
truth.
a cult in some ways. You know, and I said before, it's like I can support somebody, but I'm not going to turn a blind eye if they're doing something or said something that is just totally crazy. You know, I would start to think like, okay, this is not a person I want to support. But, you know, before the break, you were talking about humanitarian causes. And you mentioned sex trafficking. I just want to point out sex trafficking is a huge issue, especially within the United States as well. James and I, years ago, we went to the Museum of Tolerance, and there was a tour where I sat in, me and some other people sat in, and two young women who were sex trafficked, and they told about their experience and how sex trafficking is just prevalent among our country that we just don't know about, what they call indentured servant, just things that are happening in seemingly, quote unquote, normal households. You would never believe that certain people are involved in that. So sex trafficking, it is a global issue, but I just wanted to point out it is high within the United States.
It is. And Museum of Tolerance, one of the things that the J.C. Cooley Foundation does is we identify a certain group of kids, 50 to 100. And what we do is we take them to the Museum of Tolerance. And it's just not about things that happen to the Jews and all that other type of stuff. Just like Michelle just mentioned, there are other exhibits, there are other things that they talk about. We try to make sure that our youth and our young adults and their parents, they want to go, get an opportunity to be educated on what's happened before, understand what hate is, how it's been, and how prevalent it is today, and try to teach our next generations of leaders that even though your parents or grandparents or all that, whatever might have went through all those things, your heart do not have to be turned bitter when you have an opportunity to change lives and make lives better, because you are going to be the future leaders of tomorrow. That's what we instill into them. You're going to be the future leaders of tomorrow. You need to understand what happened yesterday, but not live it. Live today and prepare for tomorrow. Let me say that one more time. Need to understand what happened in the past, but don't live the past.
Oh, yes.
Live the present, live today, and prepare for tomorrow. And that's how we create a better world. And by doing that, you have to understand and have taken considerations of things that are happening in the world today, and how, if you was in power, because some of you all are going to be in power, how would you go about coming up with solutions to fix the issues that we're having? How are you going to be able to sit back, come to the table, compromise with others? I mean, because it's a give and take. No one is going to get their all. But you have to take in consideration, Michelle, all people, not just because they are in your group or Republican or Democrat or all that. I mean, you have to take in consideration, it's not about that. It's about love and happiness. It's about being able to live together, being able to survive on the planet together, being able to push your wants aside. Focus on the needs. I'm saying again, you push your wants to the side. I want this, I want that, I want this, and I want all that. But focus on the needs, and how can we go about helping others and pull them up to the top, not push them down to the bottom. One thing I'm gonna say about is a lot of times, not just in the United States, and I can remember in my family, right? And I love my family with all my heart. But they have this little, what we call the crab bucket syndrome. Everybody want to wish and want to push you to the top and succeed. But when you start climbing up, there is some disagreements where you start climbing to the top, and you get down there, it's like, oh no, you can't leave me. Just, you can't get out of here. They reach up and pull you down, back in the bottom of the bucket. My point is this: you continue to climb up, you continue to understand what is going to get you out of that bucket to where you can help others and not give up. And so it's all about love, not hate. It's all about helping others. I see, Michelle, you got a question.
Yes. Another topic is about historical event that impacted you in your life and why. I mean, a lot of historical events impact us to this day, before our time. But I would say 9/11 really impacted me. I used to work in two world trade, and I know a couple of people who perished. And I never thought I would see anything during my time such as this. Now, you read in the history books about, you know, wars and just everything that's going on, but I believe the United States did not ever think this would happen to us now, and that just broke my heart. It just broke my heart seeing the videos on TV. And it's interesting. It's because in 1993, I was working to World Trade, and they had a bomb down near the PAF station. And I was there, and I remember it was Friday, it was snowing, it was February. It sounded like a truck fell on the roof. But the thing is, we kept working. We kept working. And we didn't think to leave because we weren't thinking, terrorist attack, until my boss, a couple of minutes later, said, let's go. So we walked down 69 flights of steps, took us almost 2 hours. But I wasn't there with 9/11 because I already left New York. But that really impacted me. It just not broke me. It was horrible to watch the people. And I know for time's sake, I'm just going to wrap this up. But James, what historical event impacted you and why?
Well, I was at 9/11. I was working at the Pentagon. And just so happened is my office at the Pentagon, corner of 4. I was supposed to have been at the Pentagon that day. My boss told me to stay at Brandon Avenue because he has some things that he wanted to do. And we watched the towers disintegrate. Watch one, watch the other one disintegrate. The Pentagon, where we was at,
wow,
caught up in this as well. And that impacted me because I had a lot of friends that was in the corridor that were bombed, and that affected me. And we'll have to talk about this a little bit more.
We got to do a part 2.
I think we're out of time with the radio.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so this is what we're gonna do. We're gonna end the radio portion of it and stick around for a second or so. We got about 3-4 minutes, and we can continue to talk about this. And so I tell you, this is a great conversation. Dr. Michelle Cooley and myself. My main man Chris the handling up back in our studios in San Diego, FM 96.1, AM 1170. The Answer. You can check us out on radio every Sunday at 8 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. FM 96.1, AM 1170 is your life. And we'll see you tomorrow. Same time, same place.
Thanks for joining us for the James Cooley Show. It's your life. To learn more about Dr. James Cooley and how you can support the show or become a guest, visit Cooley.
So we're still here for a little bit. Michelle had to get ready for a meeting, but just finishing this up is I was stationed at the Pentagon during 9/11. Our workplace that we normally work was the area that was bombed. The rocket hit that side, and we lost about 230 something lives. Fortunately, that day, I was told to stay at my office on Brandon Avenue in Springfield, Virginia, which you can see it's only about 2 miles away. What happened at the Pentagon, and as I mentioned that affected me for life. It still does. I have a lot of friends that have been on the show to talk about that, like Commander Bernard Simple, Captain Herman Archibald, all of these people. and many, many more that was a part of that. And that's what affected me the most when it comes to that and other foreign events. But I tell you, I hope you enjoyed the show today. I thoroughly enjoyed it. And this is something that Michelle and I are doing every now and then. We're not pulling away from our normal format. We're still going to bring you all so many awesome, wonderful guests. And if you want to be a guest on the show, all you have to do is just reach out to myself or Michelle. Let us know what you want to talk about. Let us know how that's going to affect others. And you can reach out to me by 𝐷𝐉𝐎𝐘𝐒145@gmail.com, or you can reach out to Michelle at 𝐷𝐉𝐎𝐾ooley0827@gmail.com. Just let us know what you want to talk about, how that's going to help others, and we'll consider getting you on the show. Remember, it's your life. It's all about love, not hate. Always dream big, think big, and be big. We'll see you tomorrow, same time, same place. It's your life. We'll see you then.